Funny how people unsubscribe from your life without notice. One day they swear forever, the next they're gone. But hey, if you're here, hit subscribe. It's free, unlike loyalty. I never thought I'd be the type of guy to get ghosted by my own fiancé. But life has a funny way of flipping everything upside down. One moment I was planning a proposal, working extra hours to buy us a house, and picturing a future with the woman I loved. The next, she was asking for a break, whispering about some new guy at work and acting like I was the problem. I'm 34 years old, and to this day, I don't know if I was wrong for refusing to talk to my ex, Sarah. But after everything she put me through, I don't see how I could be. I met Sarah at work in mid-2022. We hit it off fast, one of those instant, undeniable connections. But our first breakup came quicker than I expected. A petty disagreement turned into a public meltdown at work, leaving me humiliated. She dumped me right then and there, loud enough for everyone to hear. I tried to move on, but seeing her every day made it impossible. Eventually, I quit my job thinking distance would heal the wound. Then, just as I was starting to rebuild, she came back. Apologizing. Regretting. Saying she had been an idiot for letting something so small tear us apart. And damn it, I believed her. By early 2023 we were back together, and for a while, everything was perfect. We talked about marriage, building a future, making it work for real this time. So, I did what any man in love would do. I started preparing for forever. I worked extra shifts, saved up, and planned to surprise her with a house and a proposal. I wanted to give her the world. But I didn't tell her why I was working so hard. It was supposed to be a surprise. Then, out of nowhere, she asked for a break. No real explanation. Just a gut-wrenching, "I think we need some space." I might have believed her if it weren't for one thing: him. She had been talking about this new guy at work nonstop for weeks. Then, suddenly she stopped mentioning him altogether. That's when my gut told me everything I needed to know. I reached out to my friend Emily, who still worked at the company. She didn't know much at first, but she promised to ask around. A few days later, she came back with the truth. Sarah's coworkers had been pushing her towards this new guy, telling her she deserved someone more exciting, someone better. And apparently she listened. She had doubts about me, the man who was literally working himself to exhaustion to build a life for us, because of a new coworker. When she finally called me after 2 weeks and asked to meet, I agreed, but I wanted the truth first. She started with the usual excuses. "You seemed so distant. I felt like you weren't as invested." I cut her off. "You mean the new guy?" The color drained from her face. "How do you know about?" I didn't let her finish. "Because I'm not an idiot, Sarah. You talked about him constantly and then suddenly nothing. You think I wouldn't notice?" She swore up and down that she never cheated, that it wasn't like that. But I told her the truth. Whether she physically cheated or not didn't matter. The second she started looking elsewhere, the second she entertained the idea of someone else, she betrayed me. That was the last time I saw her. I took the money I had saved for our future and used it to start over. New job, new city, new life. I wanted nothing to do with her. But Sarah? She had other plans. Fast forward to December, and I was back in my hometown for the holidays. Some friends threw a party and Sarah showed up. We barely spoke. I tried to ignore her, but I caught a glimpse of her smiling, laughing with some friends. And for a split second I felt something stir inside me. What? How could I still feel anything for someone who had shattered me like that? Later that night, a friend pulled me aside and dropped a bombshell. Sarah's relationship with the new guy had crashed and burned after just a few months. So, it was never worth it, I thought bitterly. And now she's alone. I was supposed to return to my city on January 6th. But a couple of days before, a friend called me with a favor. The second he said I wouldn't like it, I already knew. "Sarah's moving to your city," he said. "She needs a ride." I didn't even hesitate. "Absolutely not." He pushed. Said she wanted to talk. Said it would be good for both of us. But I refused. I wasn't going to let her wedge herself back into my life just because things didn't work out with the other guy. Then last week it happened. I was out for a run, clearing my head, when I heard a voice I hadn't heard in a year. "Hey." I turned around and there she was. Sarah. She looked nervous but hopeful. Like she expected us to pick up where we left off. Like she deserved that chance. I wasn't interested. "We barely got to talk at the party," she started, forcing a smile. "How have you been?" I cut her off immediately. "I don't want to talk, Sarah." Her smile faltered. "Come on, don't be like that. We should at least." "No," I said firmly. "We shouldn't." She scoffed. "It's been over a year. How can you still hate me after everything we've been through?" I took a deep breath and met her eyes. "I don't hate you, Sarah. I just don't care anymore. And for the first time in a long time, I realized I meant it. Despite what some may think, I don't resent Sarah. I just can't bring myself to talk to her. Seeing her, even hearing her name, still stings. When she first approached me, I was honest. I told her it hurt too much. She insisted that was exactly why we needed to talk, but I didn't see the point. So I walked away. Since then, she's tried twice more, and both times I refused. Some friends think I'm being too harsh, while others say I'm torturing her by ignoring her. But this isn't about revenge. I don't hate her. I just can't reopen a wound that hasn't fully healed. Update, February 2nd, 2025. After reflecting on the comments, I've decided to stick to my decision. I won't talk to Sarah. I also realized I forgot to mention in my first post that I blocked her everywhere after our second breakup. Lately, her persistence has backfired. Even the friends who initially told me to hear her out are growing tired of her constant attempts to reach me. One of them, Emily, even made a vague post about stalkers on social media. She didn't name Sarah, but everyone knew who she meant. Some commenters suggested Sarah is stalking me. The fact that she conveniently moved to my city and keeps showing up unannounced does raise questions. Maybe it's a coincidence. Her uncle owns a company here, but that's not my concern. Things had finally quieted down, until last night. I was watching a UFC event with coworkers when my phone rang, a mutual friend. She said Sarah had a message for me. I sighed, told her to make it quick. Sarah claimed she finally understood why I won't talk to her. She promised to stop reaching out, but she still believes we should communicate. She left the door open if I ever change my mind. I told my friend I had no message to return. Sarah meant what she said, great. But I won't hold my breath. Maybe she thinks that giving me space will make me come to her. It won't. That chapter is closed. For now, I'm focusing on myself. I don't plan on dating anytime soon. If I've learned anything, it's that I need to know people better before committing. I've also started reevaluating my friendships. Some people I called friends clearly don't have my best interests at heart. A few commenters suggested therapy. I've considered it. For now, I'm allowing myself to heal in my own way. But if I don't feel better after some time, I'll look into it. Update, February 16th, 2025. Sarah had been silent for weeks, until last Tuesday. Her mother messaged me, apologizing for her daughter's actions and asking me to call her. I always liked Sarah's parents. Even after both breakups, they were kind and respectful. I didn't want to talk about Sarah, but I also didn't want to ignore her mother. After some thought, I called. She put me on speaker so Sarah's father could join. For a second, I expected to hear Sarah's voice too, but thankfully I didn't. The conversation was actually good. They apologized for Sarah's behavior. I told them there was no need, but they insisted it was the right thing to do. They had no idea what was happening until recently. When they found out, they confronted Sarah. Her father admitted the conversation felt like one they should be having with a teenager, not a grown woman. Sarah assured them she would stay away from me and seek therapy. Hearing that was a relief, not just for me but for her. What happened between us wasn't ideal, but I genuinely hope she finds happiness. Before we ended the call, I thanked her parents and told them how much I respected them. I can now say with certainty this is over. Sarah would never go against her parents' wishes. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts. Your advice truly helped me process everything. The distance between Jerry and me kept growing. At first, I brushed it off as work stress, but late-night phone calls, cryptic messages, and his distracted demeanor became too frequent to ignore. My gut told me something was wrong. One Friday evening, I decided to surprise Jerry with a dinner date, hoping to rekindle our connection. I drove to his office, excited for the night ahead, until I received his message. Sorry babe. Work is crazy. I have to stay late. My heart sank, but I didn't respond. I was about to leave when I saw him walk out of his office. My breath hitched. He wasn't working late, he had lied. Curious and unsettled, I followed him. He pulled into a bar, and as I watched from a distance, my stomach twisted in knots. Then I saw her. At first, I only saw the back of a woman sitting across from him, but when she turned, my blood ran cold. It was Karen, my stepsister. They held hands. They laughed. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't just an affair. It was something deeper, something intimate. I felt like the air had been stolen from my lungs. My legs threatened to give out beneath me, but somehow I managed to slip away unnoticed. I barely made it home before collapsing onto my bed in sobs. The man I had planned to spend my life with, the man I trusted, had betrayed me. And with her of all people. Karen, the master manipulator. Karen and I weren't related by blood. When my parents divorced, My mom remarried a man named Harry, who had a daughter from his previous marriage, Karen. At first, we got along well despite our 4-year age difference. But as we grew older, I realized Karen wasn't just mischievous, she was manipulative. She could twist any situation to her advantage, lying effortlessly to avoid consequences. She thrived on control and always had to be the center of attention. Even after I distanced myself from her in college, she never stopped trying to tear me down. At family gatherings, she'd make snide comments about my appearance or suggest I should hit the gym more often. But the worst part? She had always flirted with my boyfriends. She'd tell Jerry, then my boyfriend, that he deserved someone hotter. She'd comment on his gym selfies, always pushing boundaries. I dismissed it back then. After we got married, she toned it down and I assumed it was harmless. Clearly I was wrong. The evidence. That night, when Jerry came home reeking of liquor and sweat, I pretended to be asleep. He didn't even try to hide it. His arrogance was infuriating. He truly believed he could get away with this. While he slept, I took his phone and went through his messages, calls, and photos. What I found confirmed everything. The late-night rendezvous, the secret conversations, the intimate pictures. It had been going on for months. I documented everything. By morning, I knew I couldn't face him alone. So, I drove to my mother's house, the only place I felt safe. When I told her everything, she was stunned. At first, she didn't want to believe it, but once I showed her the evidence, rage flickered in her eyes. Karen had always been like a daughter to her, and this betrayal cut deep. She didn't just want to expose them, she wanted the whole family to know. The family gathering. That weekend, we invited close family over for dinner at my house. I didn't tell Jerry anything. He walked in, clueless, greeting everyone like nothing was wrong. Once dinner was over, I clinked my glass, standing beside my mother. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "I've gathered you here for an important reason, something I've been struggling with for a while." Curiosity filled the room as I nodded to my mother. She set up a projector. Then I revealed the truth. The first image flashed onto the screen. Jerry and Karen, hands intertwined at the bar. Gasps echoed around the room. Murmurs of shock rippled through my family. I scrolled through the messages, the affectionate words, the secret meetups, the undeniable proof of their betrayal. The room erupted. Anger, disbelief, disgust. Karen sat frozen, her usual smug confidence stripped away. Jerry's face drained of color. My mother, eyes blazing, turned to them. "How could you do this?" she demanded, her voice shaking with rage. "To your own family? To your wife? Your sister?" Karen opened her mouth, but no words came out. Jerry just sat there looking like a trapped animal. And me? I stood tall, watching as their carefully constructed lies came crashing down around them. This was just the beginning. The room fell into stunned silence as my stepfather confronted Karen. "Is it true?" he demanded, his voice laced with disbelief. Tears welled in Karen's eyes, but she didn't answer. The weight of his words seemed to crush her. Around us, my family exchanged incredulous looks, some shaking their heads in disgust, others muttering angrily under their breaths. Jerry and Karen sat frozen, unable to justify what had been laid bare before them. The truth hung heavy in the air, suffocating and undeniable. For the first time in what felt like ages, I breathed freely. The burden of secrecy was no longer mine to bear. "I didn't bring you all here just to expose them," I announced, my voice unwavering despite the turmoil inside me. "I wanted you to know, I'm divorcing Jerry. If Karen wants my husband, she can have him." I refused to waste another second on a man who betrayed me. A wave of support washed over me. My family and friends rallied behind me, offering words of encouragement while Jerry, humiliated, stood abruptly and stormed out. Karen followed, her eyes darting around desperately for an escape. The moment they were gone, I collapsed into my mother's arms, years of suppressed agony pouring out of me. The aftermath. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. The weight of betrayal clung to me, suffocating and relentless. Some days it was impossible to get out of bed. Other days I moved through life like a ghost, too numb to feel anything. The divorce proceedings dragged on, each legal document a reminder of my shattered marriage. But despite the pain, I clung to one thought: I was reclaiming my life. Then, finally, after months of legal battles, it was done. 2 days ago, the court granted my divorce. I was free. My mother and I spent the entire day celebrating, shopping, indulging in ice cream, and for the first time in forever, I felt light. Hopeful. But that night, as we sat watching a movie, my stepfather walked in, his expression grim. "What's wrong?" my mother asked, concern etching her features. He hesitated, then turned to me. Have you seen Karen's latest Facebook post? A cold sense of dread settled in my stomach. Shaking my head, I unlocked my phone, my fingers trembling as I searched for her profile. My breath caught in my throat when I saw it. A picture of Karen and Jerry smiling at each other, radiating happiness. The caption? So happy to be engaged. My heart stopped. A diamond ring glinted on her finger. My ring? No, it was different. No. I stared at the screen, my mind spinning, my vision blurring. My mother, sensing my distress, snatched the phone from my grasp. Her sharp intake of breath told me she had seen it too. "Oh my God," she whispered, horror lacing her voice. I don't remember much of what happened after that. My body felt heavy, my thoughts incoherent. It was as if I were drowning in the weight of it all. Karen, my own stepsister, was marrying my ex-husband. The phone call. As if the universe hadn't mocked me enough, my stepfather's phone rang. "Karen." "Put her on speaker," I muttered, my voice hoarse. He hesitated before nodding, answering the call with a controlled calm. "Dad. I was just about to call you," Karen chirped. "I have some exciting news." She launched into a giddy rant about her engagement, completely oblivious to the devastation she had left in her wake. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms as I listened. Finally, my stepfather cut her off, his voice cold. "Karen, what you did is not just disrespectful, it's cruel." A beat of silence. Then Karen sighed dramatically. "I don't understand why everyone is so upset. Jerry and I are in love. Why can't we just be happy?" My stepfather let out a bitter laugh. "Because love doesn't justify betrayal. You had an affair with your stepsister's husband, Karen. Do you really think flaunting this engagement is the right thing to do?" Tears stung my eyes, and before I could stop myself they spilled over. My mother pulled me into a tight embrace, whispering reassurances I barely heard. Then Karen asked something that made my blood run cold. "Is she there?" My stepfather exhaled sharply. "Yes, she is." "Can I talk to her?" I wiped my tears away and took the phone. "Karen," I said, my voice devoid of emotion. To my shock, she laughed. "Oh, come on, don't sound so dramatic. You and Jerry are officially divorced. He's free to marry me now. I don't know why you're so upset." I gripped the phone tighter. "Do you even hear yourself?" She ignored me, her voice dripping with mock sincerity. "Actually, that's why I called. Jerry and I want you to come to our wedding. It would mean so much to us if you could be there to bless our union." My breath hitched. I felt sick. "They wanted me to what?" She continued, as if she hadn't just shattered whatever was left of my sanity. "And if you're comfortable, maybe you could even give a speech? It would really show everyone that you've moved on." A sharp, bitter laugh escaped my lips. Before I could respond, my mother snatched the phone. "Karen, enough," she snapped. "What you've done is appalling. Don't expect us to pretend otherwise just because it's convenient for you." Karen's tone shifted to anger. "We're in love. You need to accept it." My mother didn't dignify her with a response. She simply hung up. I stared at the phone in her hand, my emotions flickering between heartbreak and rage. I had spent so much time grieving, crying. Not anymore. That night, as I lay in bed, a fire reignited inside me. If Karen and Jerry thought I would just sit back and accept this, they were sorely mistaken. I wasn't going to be their victim anymore. I was going to take control. And I was going to make sure they never forgot what they had done. The moment Karen recognized Ron standing beside me, her face twisted in shock. The guests, initially confused, quickly caught onto the tension. The once celebratory atmosphere shifted into something much heavier. Jerry, standing at the altar, looked between me and Karen, realizing that their moment of triumph had turned into their worst nightmare. He clenched his fists, his face burning with anger and embarrassment. Karen, unable to control her fury, snapped, "You did this on purpose. How dare you bring Ron to my wedding?" I smiled, calm and composed. "Oh, Karen, you invited me. I just didn't want to come alone." Laughter rippled through a few guests. My mother, standing among them, nodded in approval. My stepfather, who had once told me not to ruin the wedding, now watched in stunned silence. Ron, however, remained collected. "Karen, I had no intention of ruining your day. But it seems like the past still haunts you, doesn't it?" he said smoothly. Tears welled in her eyes, but not from sorrow, pure frustration. Jerry's face turned scarlet, realizing that this spectacle was happening in front of all their friends and family. The wedding was supposed to be her moment, but now, everyone was whispering, looking at me. The tables had turned. Walking away, my true victory. Karen, unable to take it anymore, stormed out of the ceremony. Jerry followed, whispering harshly to her as they disappeared into another room. The guests, left stunned, began murmuring among themselves. I stood there for a moment, absorbing the scene. But rather than feeling petty satisfaction, I felt something else: freedom. I turned to my mother and whispered, "Let's go." Ron and I left the venue, my head held high. I had made my statement, but I no longer needed revenge to heal. Walking away from that toxic situation was the real victory. A lesson for everyone. To all of you watching this, I want to ask, have you ever been betrayed by someone close? How did you rise above it? Share your story in the comments. Here's the lesson I learned from this experience. Revenge may feel sweet in the moment, but true victory comes from moving on and choosing happiness over bitterness. No matter how much someone hurts you, don't let them steal your peace. Instead of holding on to resentment, take that pain and use it to build a better, stronger version of yourself. And to everyone watching, tell me where you're from. Are you watching from your country's name? Let me know in the comments so we can connect with fellow viewers from your country. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support more content like this. Together, let's spread positivity and strength. Thank you for being here. Remember, you are stronger than you think.